CNN Student News starts now. It's Friday, April 4th. It's good to have you watching. I'm Carl Azus at the CNN Center. On Wednesday afternoon, sirens went off at Fort Hood, a large military installation in Texas. Officials say one soldier carrying a gun he wasn't allowed to have on base started shooting other members of the U.S. Army. He killed 3 people before a military police officer confronted him in a parking lot and he took his own life. 16 other soldiers were wounded in the attack. Police don't know yet why this happened. They say the suspect, Army Specialist Ivan Lopez, had a history of mental illness. They're not sure if this was an act of terrorism, but it immediately brought comparisons to a previous shooting at the same post. 5 years ago, a former Army psychiatrist killed 13 people and later said he was on a terrorist mission. Army Chief of Staff General Ray Odierno said lessons learned from that shooting kept this one from being worse than it was. 4 days into Financial Literacy Month, we're breaking down another term for you, one that'll hopefully help you college-bound students know what to expect in the years ahead. This one's default, and it's not something you want to do. If you get a student loan, you're required by law to pay it back. Miss a payment and the loan is delinquent. Keep that up, it could go into default. It basically means you didn't keep your promise to pay back the loan. And going into default can hit you hard later on. It could make it tougher to borrow money again for things like a car, a house, or even a cell phone. So make your loan payments, make them on time. You won't risk being delinquent or going into default.
Time for the shout out. Which of these is a term for an ocean current? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it a gurge, gyre, nar, or gower? You've got 3 seconds. Go. Gyres are massive circular ocean currents that rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere and counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
Gyres are natural, but some of the stuff swirling in them isn't. Garbage, trash from nations, shorelines, boats, collected in currents swirling around the oceans. The Indian Ocean search for a missing Malaysia Airlines passenger plane has been called the most difficult search in human history. Gyres of garbage are making that search even harder.
Debris that you might see, in our homes, all around our homes. Here's a toy grenade. Here is a paintbrush handle. Here's a toy leg from a baby. Flip-flops.
Not items from a landfill, but from the ocean. More specifically, the Indian Ocean gyre, essentially a garbage patch swirling with trash and overflowing with plastic. The massive rotating current spins counterclockwise. Marcus Erickson is the director of research for the 5 Gyres Institute in California. He says gyres are like plastic soup.
But that's typical of what the material looks like.
In 2010, he sailed through the Indian Ocean gyre, the same area where search teams are now looking for doomed Flight 370.
And what we found there were things like derelict fishing nets, multicolored buoys, little fishing buoys like the one that's behind me. Lots of buckets and crates, other consumer goods like bottles and bottle caps and bags and forks and knives. There was so much stuff already there. So the debris from the aircraft is blending into all that.
Which is one reason why locating the missing plane is such a challenge. Satellite images once thought to be debris fields, likely just floating garbage. A Chinese ship just this week in search of the airplane came across trash instead. Even sea life can't tell the difference. Fish, sea lions, birds, they all ingest this junk, thinking it might be food.
I hear this talk about there being 300 plus pieces from the aircraft. There are 300,000 plus pieces of trash already there.
The Indian Ocean gyre isn't the only one that exists. There are also 2 in the Pacific and 2 in the Atlantic. They form when ocean currents bounce off the continents and create a vortex of swirling water, which pulls debris from the shores to the center of the ocean. The gyre in the Indian Ocean is thought to be about 2 million square miles. Now keep in mind, the entire United States is just under 4 million square miles. And this garbage patch isn't just huge, it's also on the move, traveling about half a mile per hour or about 12 miles per day. And it may be carrying parts of the plane with it.
Leonardo da Vinci sketched a flying machine in 1485, but of course he never flew in one. Two Frenchmen climbed aboard the first untethered balloon in 1783, but didn't exactly power it. Even the Wright brothers, at the dawn of powered flight, didn't have to flap or pedal themselves. You might say these folks, compared to the man you're about to meet, took the easy way up.
The dream is pretty much as old as time itself, of flying under our own power. The spirit, the endeavour, has always been there, but seldom the means. Contraption after contraption left crumpled and resolutely earthbound. When Orville Wright took flight in 1903, muscles gave way to engines, and our fantasy of powering aircraft by ourselves largely evaporated. Except, that is, for a few single-minded individuals. David Barford is living his childhood dream in his very own bespoke flying machine called Betterfly. By day, he designs Formula One engines for Mercedes-Benz, for Lewis Hamilton and others. By night, he plans his next David Barford-powered flight.
I'm like a caged animal if I can't make things.
It began with a sheet of paper and a pencil at a table at his home in Northampton, and with a dogged ambition to design a human-powered aircraft that he could build himself in his garage.
Some people have said, oh, why didn't you put an electric motor on it and fly it with an electric motor? But that just completely misses the point. That's not flying as I wanted to experience flying.
Betterfly has a huge wingspan, 22 meters across, yet she weighs just 42 kilograms, around half the weight of the pilot. It took 8 long years before she was ready for her first test flight.
Your bottom half has to just be an engine, legs going like crazy, but your top half and your control system needs to be quite astute and smooth and calm. So one half is going a bit like a swan, pedalling away. All of a sudden you get to a certain speed and you just rise up really smoothly, no dramatic effort involved to it, if you like. The feeling was beautiful, really was, very pure. The day after our flight, I saw a buzzard just hovering as I drove to work, and I thought, yeah, you and me, mate, I can join you. And I think that was when you realise actually what you've done, that you can join the birds and fly under your own power.
David now belongs to a very exclusive flying club. More people have been to space than have ever flown a human-powered aircraft. David is turning that very dream into a reality, one flight at a time.
We're taking flight over the Pacific Northwest on today's Roll Call. Starting just east of Seattle, we've got the Wolves watching. They're at East Lake High School representing Sammamish, Washington. Now to the Midwest, at Doniphan-Trumbull High School, the Cardinals are flying high over Doniphan, Nebraska. And if you're in Lake Charles, Louisiana, watch out for gators. Of course, we're talking about the Gators of LaGrange High School. Glad you're watching. It's peanut butter jelly time, and this is one serious sandwich. It's more than 51 feet long, and if you tried to lift it without it falling apart, you couldn't. It has more than 60 pounds of peanut butter alone. Fortunately, no one had to eat it alone. A group of charter school students in California bit into it as a celebration of National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. They couldn't finish it, so other older kids came in to lend a helping tooth. Cost some bread to build that thing, but no expense was spread, and it certainly makes lesser sandwiches jellies. Everyone who ate it got stuffed. It was worth it, though, because it had all the ingredients for success, for butter or for worse. I'm going for a glass of milk. We hope you have a great weekend and that you'll be watching again on Monday.